Let's be honest, buying a new phone or a computer can feel like you need a translator, right? Well, today we are going to do just that. We're going to decode all that confusing technical jargon and sales speak so you can walk into any store feeling way more confident. All right, let's get into it.
You know the feeling. You're standing in the store, the salesperson is just rattling off specs and plans, and you're just standing there nodding, really hoping you're making the right call. It's that feeling, isn't it? Like you're totally overwhelmed by a language you don't even speak. Well, that all ends today.
Okay, first things first. Before you can even turn on that shiny new phone, you gotta pick a plan. So let's break down the two main ways you can go about this.
You know, the difference is actually pretty simple when you think about it. A prepaid plan, that's kind of like putting gas in your car. You pay for it before you use it. Run out, you gotta fill her up again. A monthly plan, though, that's the other way around. You use all the services you want, and then bam, the bill shows up at the end of the month.
So you're going to hear this word activate thrown around. Just think of it like this. Your new phone is basically asleep when it comes out of the box. Activation is that one-time thing you do to wake it up and get it talking to the network. Once that's done, you're good to go. Okay, here's a super simple one, but it trips people up all the time. Handset. It sounds way more technical than it is. It's just what people in the business call the phone itself. You know, the actual thing you hold in your hand. So yeah, when they say free handset, all they're really saying is free phone.
Now, a rollover option. This can be a really great perk, so listen up. Imagine your plan gives you, say, 500 minutes, but you only used 400 this month. Normally, those extra 100 minutes would just vanish. Poof! Gone. But with rollover, they roll over to the next month. The bottom line is you actually get to keep what you already paid for. Pretty cool, right?
All right, so we've covered phone plans. Let's switch gears and talk about computers. Now this is where the jargon gets, well, it gets intense. But don't worry, we're going to figure out what's really going on inside that box.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The salesperson just starts rattling off a bunch of numbers and letters, and it's like they're speaking another language. All you really want to know is this thing going to do what I needed to do, right?
So let's start with the big one, the processor. This is pretty much the brain of the computer. It's doing all the heavy lifting, all the thinking. And its speed, that's measured in gigahertz, or GHZs. Just think of it like horsepower in a car. The bigger the number, the faster and more powerful the computer is going to feel.
Okay, let's talk about storage space. You're going to hear these words: megabyte, gigabyte, and terabyte. And you really need to get your head around the scale here, because the difference is just huge. So a megabyte, or MB, that's pretty small. Think like one MP3 song. But a gigabyte, a GB, that's 1,000 times bigger. We're talking a whole movie. And then you get to a terabyte, a TB. That's 1,000 gigabytes. That's enough space for literally hundreds of movies. See what I mean? The jump is massive. Sooner or later, you're going to hear this word: obsolete. Usually when a salesperson is talking about your old computer. It doesn't mean your computer is broken or anything. It just means technology has moved on. Like, way on. Your device just can't keep up with the new stuff anymore. So it starts to feel really slow, kind of useless. Oh man, we've all been there, right? You're right in the middle of something and everything just stops. The mouse pointer's stuck. The keyboard does nothing. Your computer has frozen. It's so frustrating. And a lot of the time, that's your processor basically screaming for help because it can't handle everything you're trying to make it do at once. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on some of the techie stuff, let's talk about the sales pitch itself. Because cracking that code, well, that's your secret weapon. It's all about knowing what they say versus what they really mean.
Okay, I want you to remember this one question. It might be the most powerful question you can ever ask a salesperson, especially when a deal sounds just a little too good to be true. If they're offering you the world for next to nothing, it's time to just look them in the eye and ask this.
So, the catch. What even is that? It's the fine print. It's the hidden downside that suddenly makes that amazing deal, well, not so amazing anymore. Maybe it's a 3-year contract you're locked into, or a bunch of hidden fees they conveniently forgot to mention up front.
Yeah, just take a look at this. You see a plan advertised for, say, $40 a month. Sounds great, right? But that's almost never the real price, because then they start tacking things on. There's the activation fee, and a monthly service fee, and this weird emergency services fee. Before you know it, your $40 plan is costing you way, way more. The price you see on the poster is almost never the price you actually pay.
Ah yes, the most powerful word in advertising, free.
When you hear, "Oh, we'll just throw that in for free," what does that mean? Well, it means they're giving you something extra, sure, but it's probably not just because they're nice. Usually, that free thing is bait to get you to sign on the dotted line for a long, expensive contract.
Here's another one you'll hear, top of the line. That's code for the absolute best, fastest, most advanced model we've got. And you guessed it, it's also the most expensive. So before you jump on it, you gotta ask yourself, do I really need all that power just to check my email and watch videos? Or would a perfectly good, much cheaper model do the job just fine?
So, we've pulled back the curtain on the tech jargon and the sales speak. Now, let's wrap this all up into a handy little toolkit you can use to really take control when you're shopping.
And if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Look, you don't have to become a tech genius overnight. You can't, because technology is always changing. What's brand new today is going to be old news tomorrow. The real skill isn't memorizing specs. It's learning how to ask smart questions.
So, with that in mind, here's your checklist. These are the questions that cut through the noise and get you the real answers. Number 1, what's the total monthly cost with all the fees, not just the price on the sign? 2, will this work with the other gadgets I already own? 3, for any free offer. Okay, so what's the catch? And finally, if they hit you with some jargon you don't get, just say, can you explain what that actually means for me and what I want to do?
You see, when you start asking these kinds of questions, the whole game changes. You're not just passively listening to a sales pitch anymore. You're taking charge. You're making an informed decision. So the next time you walk into one of those stores, you'll be ready. You'll be the one in control, and hopefully you'll feel a whole lot more confident making that big purchase. Thanks for hanging out with me.